Welcome to Beyond Giving, your favorite nonprofit podcast on the Boost Network. I'm Zach, the nonprofit guy, and today we have a super special episode with a good friend of mine, Carmen, from the Madrina Project. The Madrina Project is a local nonprofit here to San Antonio that really empowers young women and girls to achieve everything that they need to achieve. And so we're super excited to have you, Carmen. Thanks for joining us today.
I'm so excited to be here and so excited that y'all are starting this new podcast. I can't wait to listen every Tuesday.
Definitely, yep. Episodes every Tuesday. Cool. So can you tell us kind of a little bit about you? I was so excited when we were going to have an episode featuring you and the Madrina Project because your story is just, it's so powerful, right? It's something that people can really rally behind. It's inspiring. It's something that when you think nonprofit and when you think people genuinely doing good in their communities, you think, oh, Carmen, you think the Madrina Project. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about your background and what kind of led you to this path of making impact in your communities and then kind of into the Madrina Project?
My name's Carmen Lidia, and I serve as San Antonio's fairy godmother. Through the Madrina Project, we provide new and gently used dresses for high school girls if they can't find a dress or afford a dress for their prom, homecoming, graduation. We put together a boutique collection where we provide it for them at our annual empowerment conference, and also we offer school boutique pop-ups where we bring the boutique to the schools. We feel so happy to hear that people see the mission clearly in our organization, but it really started out of, I was 21, I was in college, kind of eating ramen noodles, and a cute boy invited me to a military ball. And if you've ever been to a military ball, you know that they're gown events. It's not like you can show up in a cocktail or just something that you would wear at a graduation. And I just felt like I was a little bit too old to be asking my parents, my hardworking parents, for a dress. And so I was coaching Little League Soccer at that point, and one of the ladies on my team said, hey, there's this local woman who has a small prom closet out of her house. Let me see if she'll help you. She normally only does it for high school girls. And I said, okay, that would be awesome. A little reluctant because, I felt bad that I needed the support, but we went to her house. She had one little coat closet that probably had 50 to 100 dresses in there, and she was able to give me this purple dress that I still to this day love, but also when I see pictures, I cringe a little bit. And I got to go to the ball, per se. And that day when she was helping me, she happened to tell me that the reason she started it was her three daughters were in high school. She was helping her daughter's friends, and that once the last one graduated, they were going to stop doing it. And I thought, well, that sucks. And so I said, well, do you mind if I take it over? And I was very young and naive and didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I said, yeah, let's do it. And so the first year we went to Thomas Jefferson High School and did it together. She taught me how to meet the counselors, the parent liaisons, how to navigate getting into the school, the background checks, those things. And I was just fell in love with that moment when girls put on a dress, and you can see the giddiness. You can see when it fits.
Yeah.
And so after that, we kept trying to stay in the school model, like go to the school, but it felt very shamey to the girls.
Yeah, I was wondering kind of what that looks like, right? Because you have this really cool mission, right, where you're providing these dresses that may otherwise be unattainable to these girls, right? But then how do you address that? Oh, I feel shame because I needed help. How are you turning that into, wow, I got to take part in the Madrina Project, right? I got to receive this dress. What does that look like for your schools?
Yeah, in 2013, we kind of started realizing, when I say we, it's like me and three other people.
Nice.
We started realizing what are the things that changed our lives. And for me, it was learning about Cafe College, truly learning about the Alma colleges locally, my faith, my friends, my family, these core conversations that were starting to shape my life. And so I thought, okay, we clearly have this problem where coming into a cafeteria or a teacher's classroom has this shame feeling to it. They're having to leave their classroom and feel poor, impoverished to some degree, so that because they have to go into that room. And so we started thinking, okay, how do we start a conference? And at that point, I didn't even know how to host a conference or anything, but I knew that's what I felt in my heart to do. And so I started telling people, and I met somebody who was able to connect me with a whole team of a nonprofit. And so we built the conference where not only do they get to go shopping at the end, but we call it Learn to Earn.
Okay.
So we put on this free, fun, fabulous conference for them to come to for free. And then we ask them to learn by participating in education, leadership, wellness, and self-worth sessions. We have giveaways, we have food, we have games, all these things to try to give them the best day possible. But by them investing their time, they learned to earn the free shopping. Is this
Okay.
that we organically created?
So it's a free event that kind of brings people together and gives them a way to kind of earn this new dress, that they might need. So that kind of like eliminates that shame, because it's not being given to me because I can't afford it, right? I did this thing, I learned about these different things at your empowerment conference, and then I was able to get this beautiful dress that I can take to prom or the military ball or wherever that goes.
Absolutely, and I think that was the key component. For a while, we stopped doing school pop-ups because we thought the conference was the answer. But because transportation can be such a limitation for families in those same circumstances, we decided post-pandemic that we'll keep the conference, and the conference is now an incentive to be the first shoppers of our boutique. So some of those best dresses are the girls that come to the conference would have the advantage of getting those dresses, but we are now trying to make more effort with making relationships with the districts and with the schools to pre-put dates on the calendar for us to bring the boutique to the campus.
Okay.
And so
Yeah, we're re-energizing the conference, but also re-prioritizing the school pop-ups.
That's cool too, because like you said, like transportation is tough, especially in those circumstances. So the fact that you're bringing that same kind of selection of dresses, right, to these schools, so you're kind of expanding accessibility to it, you're making it kind of a normal part of life. That's exciting. That's pretty cool. And so this empowerment conference, like when does it happen? What like specifically happens at this event? Is it like different classes, different particular speakers? Like what can we look forward to for the next empowerment conference?
For 2025, it's actually 2 weeks away. It's February 22nd. This year we're hosting it at the Girls Inc. building.
Oh, cool.
Leia was so generous to offer us her space for the next 2 years to host the conference. And so for the first hour of the conference, we call it an empowerment fair. It's essentially resources that we've found in San Antonio that high school girls would benefit from. Cafe College is like one of my favorite that that's a top priority for me, for them to be there. Have a table for them to be able to give girls the address. We make sure that through the programming they know where Cafe College is, because if you ask them, they're like, oh, well, I've kind of seen it on the highway, but I just thought it was a coffee shop.
Yeah, so what specifically is Cafe College?
Cafe College is actually a college resource center where you can get paired up with an advisor as early as your freshman year.
Okay.
So you can start going there to learn about what scholarships you're specially fit for, but then also what other academic goals you could set for your high school, right? If you're trying to make yourself stand out for a university or for a program, they might want you to volunteer specifically at like a humane society or at the food bank, depending on what those dreams are for a student. Cafe College can help you start to think critically about how to build up your resume, how to apply for those scholarships, how to understand the resources, the funding that you can start working on today for college in the future.
Okay, so it's like a resource that kind of gives you a leg up on figuring out how you're going to pay for college and like kind of figuring out how to position yourself for what you want to achieve that way.
Yeah, and for me it was so critical because I am a first generation college student, and so for me, my parents didn't know how to do FAFSA. They didn't know how to help me apply through the Alamo Colleges system. There was just so many limitations from my family to help me and walk me through it. I have friends who are like, oh, my mom went with me to meet with my advisor and advocated for me. And I think that's so beautiful, but that's not a parent that we all have. Not because our parents don't want to be those advocates for us, but because they might not have that model yet to provide it. And so how do we help girls find those resources in San Antonio? Because we are such a beautiful, high resource city, but a lot of times kids just don't know, where do I go for X, Y, or Z?
That's true. And like if you don't know where to look or even sometimes what you're looking for,
Yes.
like it's really hard to find those connections. So you really take, just beyond the dress, right? Beyond that particular moment at prom or wherever, you really help provide resources. And when you talk about empowering these young women and these girls, it's really to set them up for what they're trying to accomplish in life, right? So beyond just a dress, beyond like resource connections, it's like the whole package kind of.
Yes, absolutely. And so I got a little excited about Cafe College, but it's the empowerment fair. Then we open up we call it a musical welcome. So it's just like whatever fun girl music is popular at the time. We have a friend that leads it. Then we have the education session, the leadership, the wellness, and the self-word session. And our leadership session is actually now being led by the Young Women's Leadership Academy.
Oh, cool.
Actually a session led by girls, which is very exciting. I started it when I was young, so it was fine when it was like my friends and my peers, but now that I'm, 35, I need to make sure that we're still curating a conference that's fit for a high school girl that's going to engage them. And so and then once the program part is over, we open the boutique. And so that's been the catalyst to making it not feel like a sad handout, more like an exciting handout, because when we, at Palo Alto, they have an actual curtain that we get to set at the boutique behind the stage.
Oh, cool.
We actually get to like do a countdown and raise up the thing.
Also, it's just like this huge unveiling, and it's like this really cool, exciting thing. That's awesome.
Today, the dresses have kind of flirted with them because we put the curtain.
The wall carpet.
The wall carpet. We put it about 80% of the way, so they see the bottom.
Okay.
The whole day. And then at the end of the day, it kind of gets unveiled. And so right now we're working out the logistics on how to do that at the Girls Inc. building, because it's a beautiful building, but we just don't have that same stage capacity.
Definitely.
And so, but we're still working to make that like wow element when we open the conference boutique experience. Yeah.
Definitely. That's pretty cool. And so like as this has kind of evolved, I know, for example, like when I go to a show or a thing or whatever, I have like a very short attention span, right? Give me the 30-second TikTok summary and like I'm good to go. How have you kind of evolved the empowerment conference and those kind of services that you're offering to really fit that niche of young girls, right? High school girls, and how have you kind of evolved and really tailored what you offer to them, and what things have you learned?
Well, the first thing I say is we try to listen to girls. What do they want to talk about? What do they want to listen to? What are the questions they currently have? And then finding speakers that not only can answer those questions, but come from the same humble roots that they come from. I think seeing a speaker from the beginning say, with this list of accomplishments, when they can start their conversation by saying, hey, 20, 30 years ago, I was in the same place you are. I come from the same kind of family, from the same economic background. These commonalities, we create this unification between the speakers and the girls versus, oh, it's just some grown-up talking to me. And so I would say those are two of the main things that we do. But practically speaking, we give away epic prizes. We give them a lot of good snacks.
Snacks are important. Snacks are important.
So sorry, I lean back a little hard. Hot Cheetos with cheese, always slap. And
Wait. Hot Cheetos with cheese?
Yes.
What kind of cheese are you putting on these hot Cheetos?
Oh my
Is it like that nacho, like, or is it like?
It's across from like where brown coffee used to be. The Rios or
Okay.
Like the
popular like ice cream truck cheese.
Wait, ice cream truck. I have so many questions for you now, Carmen. Okay, so Okay, we're gonna have to come back to the hot Cheetos and cheese at some point. But okay, so snacks.
So plenty of snacks, giveaways, and then we create social media challenges for them all day that they get to engage with at different points. So throughout the day, if they don't have social media, on the back of their lanyards, there are other challenges that they can do with the volunteers to continue to put their name in for the giveaways after every session. So after every session, we give them a little break, go breathe, go get a snack, something. And when they come back, we make sure they get in their seats by doing a great giveaway before the next speaker comes up. So they've just been rewarded and they're like kind of more engaged because they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be next.
Definitely.
And so I feel like that's going to be an ongoing journey of learning. That's why, not to put a plug, but that's why I'm so excited about working with Nonprofit HQ. I think there's so much opportunity for us as a team to learn more about the girls. How do we understand where their needs are? Something as simple as like, what's their favorite song? What's their favorite ice cream? These are some things that I haven't been able to navigate how to create a profile. And so I think Nonprofit HQ is going to open up a world of understanding, one, the girls we serve, and two, what their real needs are. I think it's fine to ask them a question, but when you can see the data be consistent,
Absolutely.
I think I'm so excited to see what will happen with our org as we grow up and grow into the Nonprofit HQ era.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that don't know, Nonprofits HQ is like a unified management platform that's my startup that helps organizations like Carmen's really focus in and amplify their impact, like manage overhead, that sort of thing. And so when you're thinking about like these different tools and these different processes that you use, because like you said, you started the Madrina Project, or you kind of took it over when you were like young and naive, you said, right?
Yes.
So like what are some of those like those challenges or those places where maybe you stumbled and wanted to run, or like what did that kind of look like as an experience? And you were pretty young when you started this too, right? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask how old you were. I know.
I was one when I got the dress.
Okay.
So the first time I gave away a dress, I was 22. Now I'm 35. And I mean, obviously when you're young, you think you know what you're doing. But
Of course.
You don't realize how much you don't know. And meeting you was so exciting because I realized maybe I can teach the next young CEO, the next new young founder, how to use a platform like yours before you spend 10 years of your life working on something you love and don't have a way to track the impact you've created, the sacrifices you've made. There's so much that I invested in. There's girls I know we impacted, but I will never know how to tell their story. And so I think that was one of the biggest challenges I faced in that young leadership without a CRM, without that support, was maintaining relationship with our girls and with our donors.
That's true, and like being able to tell that story is such an incredibly important part of what you're doing too, right? Because it helps you with like donors and grants and things of that nature, right? But it also helps kind of change that idea that getting a dress, getting these resources, like this is an exciting thing that's available to girls in, is it just San Antonio? Is it outside of San Antonio yet?
Here they can come. Yeah, we had a school bus come from Natalia in 2016, and I remember being like, I didn't even know we could get a school bus. It was one of the highlights of my life, because it was just like 50 girls coming out of a school bus and then 50 girls getting back on a school bus with a dress for their prom and their graduation, a lot of them. Tell us kind of a little bit, like, let's unpack that a little bit, like dive into that. Where did this school bus come from? How did they learn about what you were working on? And then how did you like kind of facilitate that? Because that's pretty cool, you know, impacting your local community and starting there is an amazing step. And then as you kind of expand, bringing these opportunities and resources that you folks create to other people is kind of, it's exciting, but kind of really hard to scale outside of your immediate area. Yeah, absolutely. So I call it like moments when I get to meet like someone like you, someone like the lady Melissa, I call them these like God moments, because it's like, how in the world did like you moved here from like out of Texas, meeting me for little San Antonio, you know, hood girl. Like there's just these moments where life, there's no way it's a coincidence, right? And so I met Melissa they threw us this big party called the Fancy Frock as a dress drive. There's
The fancy what?
the Fancy Frock.
Frog?
Like
Frock?
F-R-O-C-K, I believe.
Okay.
Or maybe
O-C, who knows?
Okay, cool.
Google it.
I'm going to have to Google that to know what that is,
Yes.
but
So essentially, it's like you bring your clothing to donate.
okay.
And so I met Erica Prosper probably in 2014, and we just kind of started meeting up for chalupas and seeing how we aligned in certain ways about empowering women and young women especially. This is before she was first lady, so I just kind of knew the HEB research lady, and she was going to host a dress drive in her house. Like, hey, I'll invite a few of my friends over and we'll collect dresses.
Okay.
Well, she told her Lady Village, and if anyone's met her Lady Village, they are next level. When they choose to do something, they kind of steroid.
They do it big.
Yeah.
Anything that Martha Martinez gets her hands on is going to be excellent. So she told Martha Martinez, like, hey, I want to do this dress drive. And Martha just took it over and made it was like the quinceañera I never had.
Nice. Okay.
Say quinceañera I never had, for the people who will judge me for saying that in an English accent. But they hosted this event where they just invited all the women in their network to come eat charcuterie, drink wine, and bring a dress and make a donation if you could. And so at that event, I met Melissa Martinez, who is now on our advisory board. But at that point, she was just a parent liaison at Natalia ISD.
Okay.
So she's like, yeah, I would love to bring some girls in the moment. And she's like, can you come to my school and promote it? And we would love to encourage the girls to come. Never says anything about bringing a school bus. So I'm obviously expecting a group of girls from Natalia to show up, but never in my life would I guess a whole school bus.
So when she wants to bring a couple of girls over, she means 50 on a school bus. Nice. And that just happened because the community kind of rallied behind what you were doing to do this dress drive, and that's where that connection was made. So like when you're talking about community involvement, because that's incredibly important for nonprofits, right? How has the community, other than like this dress drive, really supported what Madrina Project is and helped evolve it into what it is today?
So I like to say we had a very organic first 10 years because we never had the donor structure. We never had a CRM. Honestly, we didn't even have Google Sheets for so long. It was just like, this person brings cupcakes. This person brings, the tacos for the volunteers in the morning. It was very organic. And when I met this group of ladies, they started challenging me to ask, how do we build partnerships, not just small time donations? And so through partnerships with other nonprofits, we started having this model where we had a fiscal agent, and they were like SAISD Foundation. When I really needed a laptop, the Spurs donated to SAISD Foundation, and then SAISD Foundation gifted us the laptops.
Wow,
So we
okay.
never had to hold that dollar. And so it was just a very collaborative time of people seeing what we were doing, and they said, I want to help do that. And when they saw my limitations, they figured out a way to make it work legitimately within the limitations they saw in this young 24, 25-year-old girl who's still like eating ramen noodles in college, And so I think that's one of the, and I haven't done life in another place long enough to know if that's very special to San Antonio, but I would say I believe it's special to San Antonio that we're very collaborative. It's very family oriented, even when you're not from the same family. When you're gonna have a party, someone brings the rice and someone brings the cupcakes, and it's just a very collaborative city, no matter if it's, you're helping someone raise money for cancer or it's, helping a girl go to prom.
Definitely, yeah. San Antonio, like, it is a larger city, right? Most people don't realize, and I even after living here for like 6 months, thought it was a really small area, right? And it's not. It's like, what is it, the 6th or 7th largest city in the country or something crazy like that? But it's that very like one of the largest small towns that you'll be in, right? Everybody's there. It's a culture of helping, collaboration, which is really cool. And I think that's why a lot of people, a lot of change makers like yourself see success in San Antonio, right? Because of that kind of let's help, let's collaborate, let's all make change culture. And that's super important because, as you can attest to, running an organization by yourself without a lot of support is probably really dang hard, right? And so the community being able to kind of rally behind a cause and really support that is what is the difference between an organization that's doing good and struggling, to amplify that impact and to make the change that they want, and an organization that has the resources and the support and the connections and everything they need to be successful and to, I don't know, launch an empowerment conference, for example, right?
Absolutely.
So that's really cool. What is the future for the Madrina Project look like? What is the next big thing after your empowerment conference next month? What's like the next big milestone that your organization will kind of evolve into?
That's a great question. So one of the programs that we're really excited to really dive into is having a conference development day led by high school girls, and they curate their own conference. So through camp days, there's different girl camps that happen throughout the summer. We're going to have one day that's programmed of like, let's build your perfect conference. And so we'll actually be workshopping with them all day. Like, hey, if you were going to lead an education session, what would it look like? Would they be talking about scholarships? Would they be talking about how to get money for it, or how to build your resume? So we're trying to build a collaborative workshop day where we truly get to hear from them what they want in the Significant You Empowerment Conference annually.
So then your attendees are curating the content, so you know that it's very relevant to what they need. That's a really cool idea, and that's something that, what are they called, like unconferences, or I forget the term, but essentially the people that are attending determine what sessions are on the stage, who's speaking, what they're talking about, and you actually have a lot more engagement and a lot more impactful actions or interactions with your attendees that way. So that's really cool. What are some of the like unknowns in making that happen? Like, what do you as an organization need to make those days a reality?
Definitely snacks. That's always
Snacks.
The key ticket number one.
Hot Cheetos and cheese.
Mangonadas. Those are like core pillars of it. But finding girl org partners that already have programming, because I think building programming is such a financial time and team investment. And Madrina is nowhere near at the capacity to be able to host a week camp and have a one specific conference day. And so through building local partnerships, like with Girls Inc. And Young Women's Leadership Academy, and we hope to build more of those where they already have these high capacity, amazing young women that are excellent leaders, who are critical thinkers, who are dreamers, who are doers. How do we find those places that are already doing those things with excellence, and then giving them a conference day workshop where they can let their creativity truly thrive, and hearing from them, what are the things that they want to advocate for? Who are the friends at their school that they feel they see marginalized, that they want to advocate for? Like, I think this is a very brave and courageous generation, and we have to create room for them to use their voice. And I think that's building those partnerships locally with girl orgs is where we're hoping to really make that a catalyst.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when you're talking about making room for voices to be heard, and I think that really does, it sounds like, goes to like the core of your mission, right? These girls, they exist. They have what they need to be successful, to accomplish what they want in life. And so I think that's really cool. It'll be cool to kind of follow along and see how that evolves, and see what those look like. So In terms of how people can get involved with the Madrina Project, what are your current like immediate needs? And then how can people in the community either volunteer or financially support, or how can they connect?
Absolutely. So our website is the madrinaprojectsa.org. And so on our website, we have multiple ways that people can get connected. Volunteering is a wonderful opportunity because you get to come and enjoy the conference with them and see the experience. Because I think when you come to the conference, you can really see the needs of our program and also the needs of the girl. So it gives you a very clear view of what the needs are. But very practical needs is we always need gray velvet hangers. That's like
Gray velvet
a
hangers.
staple forever and always. The velvet is what helps them stay hung, and we just try to keep it.
Oh, so the dress doesn't like slide off the.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. And is gray like just how they come, or is that a specific like color that elevates the dress, or like is there science behind this gray velvet hanger?
Gray's a little safer because the white hangers get very dirty.
Okay.
The black ones can bleed into the dress color. And then we're trying to not make everything pink. So the gray is a very neutral color because we want the dress to stand out on it, not the hanger itself. And we've had hot pink ones, and it's like, oh, I'm just looking at hangers, not really dresses. But gray hangers they're sold at Target, Walmart. Some HEBs have them. You know, you can order them on Amazon. And we're always looking for boutique partners that can serve as dress drop-off locations. We have a partnership level. If they decide to be a drop-off location for 3, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months, that helps them get a partnership level through the org, and then also just monetary partnership levels. We have that available on our website as well. So if people want to start by giving on a small scale and see how we use that giving to bless and like support our girls, then we can, but if somebody has, $1 million and they want to give us,
then you'll definitely take $1 million. Absolutely.
There's so much impact. And, through my 20s, there was so much, I say selfless, but it was almost self-sacrifice. I realize now, I love paying for the balloons and for the Hot Cheetos and all these things, but this past year we've had to sit down and look at what our conference costs, what our programming, what the pop-ups, if I wasn't swiping my personal debit card, what would this be costing for us to run as an organization? Right. And that number was a little scary, and so we're working by working with Nonprofit HQ and just building some stronger local partnerships. We're hoping to not be just this organic org, but really become a nonprofit that San Antonio can support, and we continue to do our programs and resources for girls.
Definitely, yeah. And like being able to like understand those costs, it helps you become more financially sustainable as an organization, but also it helps you understand what you should ask for, right? Yes. If you need a sponsor to cover your conference and it costs this amount of dollars, add a little buffer. This is how much you ask for that sponsor, right? So that's really cool. Awesome.
And I if you don't mind me sharing, I think as young nonprofit leaders, something that I wish I understood sooner was I'm an event planner. So I've been donating my services, my talent for so many years, and I wish that I had just tracked it more clearly. Like, hey, this week I invested 15 hours. So just as if, because it's a nonprofit podcast, for anybody who is in that startup phase, take the notes, really show the value of how badly you are committed to it, because then when you meet that donor that says, well, how many hours a week do you spend on this? You have the tangible proof that this week I worked 50 hours, and so I think that's something I wish I had understood sooner.
Definitely, yeah. And that also shows that it shows your level of commitment to your organization, right? Especially if you're asking for a large donation, right? They want to know that when they give you this money that you're going to do good with it, right? And you're going to use it for your mission. So that's true. And like a lot of startup nonprofit leaders, they don't realize that their time and energy does have value.
Yes.
And so they don't think that happens in the startup world on the for-profit side as well too. They don't think to track that stuff because you don't track zero, it's zero, right? but absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much. Are there any other things that you want to share about your organization, about you, to our audience?
I would say join us on Instagram at the Madrina Project. That's where we stay up to date on who our new partners are, the girls we're serving, and different ways to volunteer and get plugged in.
Awesome, cool. And we'll put the link to your website and Instagram in the description and distribute it across the network. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a really exciting conversation, and being able to have conversations with change makers like this and really show the impact that people have in their communities, especially local entrepreneurs here to San Antonio, is what this is all about. Thanks for joining in to the Beyond Giving podcast on the Boost Network, sponsored by Nonprofits HQ. Keep an eye out for future episodes and visit us at theboost.fm/beyondgiving to learn how you can participate in the show as well.